Hey, welcome back to the kitchen. This is part 3 of Bone Broth 101, and it's Michelle again, here to take you through the final stages of harvesting your bone broth and getting it into mason jars. If you're not actually just dipping right out of the pot and starting to drink the bone broth like maybe I have been in the last day or so. So I've taken you through the steps and the stages, the ingredients and the tools that you use. And so for this stage, I've got a couple pictures that show you the tools. Basically what I was starting with is, this is my large stock pot that had been on the stove for 2 days. And so what I use is kind of a smaller, I don't know, I think it's about like an 8-quart saucepan. And then I use my regular colander. And I put the smaller pot into the sink. I put my colander in it, and I pour the contents of the bone broth simmering pot into there. And so that's straining out any remaining skin particles or vegetable pieces. And I have to split the broth into basically 2 batches, you know, so I pour some off. And then the additional tools that I have are a couple different ladles or separating spoon, slotted spoon, and then this is an individual small sieve, and it can be used inside a quart jar. And so what I'll do is I'll just take you through this stage. It's not really complex. I also use paper towels because no matter how neat I try to be, sometimes I'm drippy and sloppy. So you take your quart jar and you just take a soup ladle and you get a nice scoop of bone broth going, and so then you just start to put it in. There may be people who choose to pour it and use a funnel, something like that. I try not to pour as much as possible because the more I pour, it seems like the more I spill and drip and waste. Honestly, this is liquid gold, is what it's called, because again, you have all of these great nutrient-dense nutritive properties from cooking down the bone, and the apple cider vinegar helps to get all the amino acids. And so this is actually a pretty dense, dark batch that I have here. But again, the good fats are just liquefied throughout, and when you warm it, it just has a really rich, filling taste. So when I fill my glass jars, that's about as full as I go because I freeze them and I leave there room for some freeze-thaw action. And when I do a batch, I generally get about 8 quarts. If I have not been drinking from the pot, I get about 8 quarts. Sometimes I use pints and do smaller ones, just to give myself convenience for grab and go. And what else is I going to tell you? So bone broth, you can Google bone broth, benefits of bone broth. Why are people drinking bone broth? It's very healing to the gut. It helps lower overall inflammation in the body. And it also just helps build immunity. Since you're healing the gut and you're sealing up the gut, then your body is able to have a better immune response for whatever pathogens you're encountering during the season. So I'm going to go to the fridge real quick. I do have, okay, so this is 1 quart that I have now. This was from a frozen batch. This was from November 8th. And so this has thawed out in the refrigerator. So I just want you to see on the top here is a thin layer. This would be where any fat is. Very small amount of fat when you see what is up top. And then you've got the clear broth, if you will. And then down here at the bottom, it almost looks like sediment. But I'm telling you, what happens is if you shake it, and then obviously if you warm it, so this is like a golden color, and this is how you'll drink it. You don't need to filter it anymore. I hardly use this tool at all. I really don't, because there's not large particles that are in there. And then so this is the one that I just poured, and you can see it's just settled to a beautiful color. So I have had fun sharing this with you. I hope that it's been quick and informative and empowering, helping you feel like you could do this. And if you are really interested in trying bone broth and you live local to me, it would be my delight to come and give you a pint jar so that you can give it a taste and see how it is. And then you can watch my videos, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and be empowered to make your own bone broth. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.